everybody. Welcome to the Spurs-related podcast. And if you are having a somewhat decent week or not a good week, look no further for Spurs to finally get another win. I mean, who saw that one coming? I think everyone did, right? It's going off the same pattern: lose, win, lose, win. So, I mean, if you were planning on going to another game, maybe just don't go to the next one. Well, I'm just joking. You gotta hope for the best here, but so far, seems like we're copying the same pattern. But good job, Spurs. Let's welcome some of the Spurs relatables here today. Adrian, COYS, yep, what a good win today. 2-0, could have been more. That seems to be the story almost every time we win, that it could have been more. Looking at a few players who still seem to be in a form, so, but overall, though, I think it's good to start with positives first, then we'll move on to our negatives. But James will be here. Just thought I'd let you guys know he will be here a little bit later. The guy has just been going to every game recently. What a guy, what a fan, true fan. If I was in England, I mean, I'd probably be going to every game too. I mean, maybe. I'm a student still, so maybe with that student money, not so much. But we got Sushant Busal in here. Good performance indeed, 100%, and chose bright performance, Brighton. But Bobby K, big up. Hi, Bobby. Hope things are going well over there in Toronto. I know that things are warming up, but the snow keeps coming back for some reason, so let's hope for the best here. 14-12, I'm not very positive, to be honest. We didn't really play well. They could have scored 3 or 4. Well, it's good to look at the positives here, but you are correct. And I think 14-12, you have the most realistic opinion, to be honest, that I've seen so far when it comes to these wins, is that it's always the fact that we could have done better. We could have done better. We could have scored more, and a lot of wasted chances that, honestly, especially when we go up against big teams, we seem to pay for those missed chances because we don't get as many, obviously. But I think that the issue that I have, again, well, actually, you know what? Before I even get to the issues, let's get through the positives. First, let's talk about Kane. That guy has scored, the most Premier League goals in away games in the Premier League history. I think that is a very, very good sort of thing to take in for this game. I think this is the biggest theme, is the fact that Kane, if you really doubted that he's not in form, today he just broke a new record. It seems like every time he's breaking new records. Last week last week was Ronaldo's show. But yeah, so I really hope that all these records that are being broken, that he wins something. I think it'd be very, very sad for him to go to the end of his career, say he signs with us again, we don't back Conte, and then Kane ends up with no trophies at the end of his career besides the personal ones. And that would look really bad, to be honest. It would reflect a lot on Levy, on the club, the ambitions, and well, I would really hope people wouldn't judge Kane for it. It would show how much loyalty he has towards us, but you know how the media can be, and how fans of football outside of Tottenham can be as well. At the end of the day, he does have to look after his career. So when the time comes, I hope most of you can, if we're not reaching the ambitions, I hope most of you will understand why he would want to go. Mark Cousins in here with losing as well. It's a good night. Oh yeah, very good, very good. Everyone here, I'm sure, loves seeing Arsenal drop points. So and it's Liverpool, so of all teams, it would make sense. It would just be, I think top 4 would be much deserved for Arsenal if they beat Liverpool as well. But good. Let's just hope that we can carry our form. Well, not even. Let's hope that we can carry this win and get another one. But as you have seen the pattern, we just keep everyone here, I'm sure, will expect a loss, but we can always hope for good things. Ayanami in here, good to see you again, man. Super happy with the result today, but there are still areas to improve upon. Of course, I definitely have some players that we'll be picking on today. I'm sure most of you can sort of guess already. Oh, big comment here. Elvis SK Doob. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. We are happy today, but it wasn't a good performance. We were supposed to score at least 5 goals. And then there is that thing again. We know what follows right. Hope, boys, you will prove us wrong this weekend. Please, we beg you, at least a draw will be fine. Exactly. I keep repeating it, and I will keep saying it, that the pattern, it doesn't show. I'm sure most of you expected us to win this one because we lost the last one. So it doesn't really matter who we face next week. If the pattern shows us anything, it's that we're going to lose. If we're able to beat Man City and then lose to Burnley to keep this pattern going, I wouldn't assume anything more than that. But so Kane, that's a good thing. Another one that I was really happy, Bentancur. The guy, honestly, when he's on there, the game is just completely different for us. He's so good on the midfield. He's so good defensively, and he's so creative to bring the ball up. I think he's such a necessary player for us. And I think that if we're going to bring a midfield in, we need to bring another Bentancur, because we honestly do need creative defensive midfielders, if that makes any sense at all. Because mostly it would be attacking midfielders that are your creative pieces. But for Conte, the defensive midfielders need to be very, very good defensively, but also there needs to be at least one very creative midfielder who plays defensively in that middle section there. Højbjerg, as soon as he has someone creative beside him, he can do what he does best, which is be a wall. And that's exactly what happened today. And I'm really happy for that. I'm sure not many of us miss Winks. So, again, like I said, I think last week, it's not of a lack of effort. I think it just might be a lack of talent. And I think Winks is, I'm sure, giving his all for Tottenham, but that just might be his peak. So it is what it is. Winks, when the summer comes, it'll be bittersweet to see you go. I'm never going to be happy that a Tottenham player didn't work out, but I hope that your career flourishes wherever it is that you go. Moving on here. Why Son is so slow recently? He needs to rest. Bergwijn deserves a chance. See, the thing is, Bergwijn, if we lose and Son gets benched, that looks very bad. Bergwijn has been nothing but inconsistent, to be honest. So I really don't. I agree, but also don't agree. I think Bergwijn's had enough chances. I think that off the bench, he's a much better player than when he starts. When he starts, nothing really happens. He gets tired, and then, and all that bursting pace doesn't do much, because when he is at the front of the net, nothing really happens. The only time that it really, mattered was the Leicester game. And, it was a very good game. I remember, to me, that's one of my favorite games of this season. But it was due, I expected something, because he hasn't really done much for this club besides a few goals in his opening season. Other than that, last season he scored 1 goal, I believe, at the end of the season when nothing really mattered anymore. So, I think if the fact that Kulusevski's come in and he's made that position his now, and he's basically replaced Mora and Bergwijn at this point for that starting position, says everything. Ayanami, Bentancur seriously reminds me of Brozovic. Fans who doubted him have been proven wrong. Exactly. I wasn't one of those people who doubted him. I was very excited to see him come in when I saw how creative he could be, and he was defensive. I was like, that is the perfect player that Conte needs, because we had no creativity. And again, it seems like he likes to have one guy role. One midfielder's role needs to be sort of that wall defense, and the other position needs to be that creative defense. And Bentancur is 100% fit into there. And again, the Conte pull, that's the great thing. And that's why we need to back Conte, because even if we don't make top 4 by the end of the season, we'll be able to bring decent players if they see that Tottenham is willing to back Conte and believes in the project. I am a big advocate here of the fact that there are players that are good but don't fit the system, and that's why they're not playing well. Emerson is probably the biggest player for me that I see that, honestly, we can make money off him, and he would be much better playing at another club where he can play as an actual right back, not a right wing back. And then from there, we bring ourselves a very good right wing back to play for next season. Because Doherty, like I said, he's okay. He's had some form recently, but you've seen what he can do, and it's not very much, and it's few and far between as well. And I think as a backup, I guess that's fine for now. Eventually, I would want him replaced as well. Yanami, if we take out Son, we have nobody even close to his level. We're taking out one of our best goal scoring players. We only have Kulu and Kane if he's out. Exactly. And to be honest, Conte said it perfectly. If I don't start Son, I would be crazy to not do that. To do that. So it summarizes it perfectly. When you have a player like Son, even if he's in bad form, the depth that we have, it would be crazy not to start him. That's just the end of the story for me when it comes to Son. He has to start, and you just have to hope that he does something. But regardless, his pace, that the fear that he brings to the opposition defense just by being there is much more than some other players could bring. I know that if I was playing against Tottenham, even if Son's in bad form, I'm gonna be very scared to play a high line because I don't want to be the team or the player that allows Son to score and then come back in form. And I know that his speed is deadly regardless, especially because now you have other players who can come up like Kane or Kulusevski can come in to sort of be there for him to pass it off, which Son actually has been pretty good at that, giving those assists recently rather than just scoring. So it works. I think not playing Son would be a very silly thing to do. And we've seen, I think, a few seasons, like when the Mourinho season, every time Son came off, we would lose the game, whether we were 3-0 up with West Ham, where we ended up tying at the end after Son got taken off, or in other games where he's been taken off and all of a sudden the players push up and then we're under all this pressure and we kept cracking every time. So, no, I wouldn't take out Son. Even if I was playing career mode with the players we have, I would not take him off. But yeah, another player I'm actually going to pick on now, since we are sort of already moved to the negatives. And, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but I think it's very important to talk about these players that honestly, they need to sort of really evaluate themselves here. Romero, man, good goal. What the heck were you doing up there? Yeah, you scored, it deflected off you, but what were you doing up there? What if there was a counterattack? Then what? I don't know what you guys think, but personally, I think Romero's pushing up way too much, let alone the fact that he's doing some very interesting tackles that led to his yellow, obviously, and a few other mistakes in there. But again, this is not to say that Romero is not a good defender. I think he's a very, very good defender. There are just for me, there's just a couple things where I really think that one mistake from him could really cost us, right? That's the issues. That's sort of the burden they have to carry, is one mistake from a defender can lead to a goal. So to me, I think he should be staying back. He should not be going all the way near the goalie, even if we're on the playing like that. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure Conte is telling him to push up like that, but that's just my opinion. You can have a different opinion. Mac over here saying Højbjerg was filling in the back line sometimes for him. Well, that's good. But I do think that that is good, but sometimes I just do think that Romero pushes up way too much. And there have been times where we've actually been scored on because Romero's pushed up, he loses the ball or the pass isn't done properly. And then now, instead of it being 3 center backs at the back, it's 2, Dyer and Davies, who by all accounts are pretty slow. So, you know what happens after that. So I would say maybe he needs to start pushing less to the top, especially because you have a lot of creativity going on already. And at the same time, I would say that he needs to, again, he keeps making those mistakes, some really, really risky tackles. I feel like one of these days he's going to catch them with his cleats, and it's like the bottom part of the cleat, and it's going to lead to a red, and it's going to really screw us. So seriously, Romero, please, you need to keep an eye on how you're tackling. These late tackles are not helping you at all, and it's every game now. Carl saying, "Hey, Andre, hope you're doing well." Hope you're doing well too, man. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope that it's brought a lot of happiness to you. I know that for me, it's very good to see, but I did expect this win, especially because we lost the last one, and it's just following the same pattern. Mac agreed, though. We need class defenders to play like that. Exactly. And the fact that right now we have one pretty good, good defender. I'm not going to say Romero is great just yet because of these mistakes. We have a good defender and then a decent defender and as James would say, a paper over the cracks defender, which is Davies. I do think that they've been sort of in form. I think that Dyer has really taken control of that defense and made it his own. He tells them what to do. Which actually another one when Romero picked a fight with Cucurella, and it was Dyer that had to come in and tell him to chill out. Imagine if he hadn't done that. He gets a yellow there. That's a red. It's over. So, I'm really happy that Davies is really taking it upon himself to show the fans that he deserves to be in this team. And yeah, honestly, in terms of players that we need to be worried about, he's not one of them. He's the least of my problems right now when it comes to finding new players and bringing them in. In the defense, I would say Davies is the one that we need to look out for. We just need to find someone. I'm okay with Davies staying, but not starting. I would say we need to bring in a left-footed center back, natural center back. We need to replace that right wing back position. So, good job, Dyer. You went from a player that I was always worried to see on the team sheet to a player that I'm not even worried about anymore. Leobal, sorry I'm late. I don't know what I've missed, but have you mentioned Depay talks? I have not mentioned that yet. This is the post-match reaction video, so I wasn't really going to talk about all these links, but I have heard that is not actually happening. There have been no talks in terms of Depay. That's what I heard from Fabrizio Romano. So, as far as I know, unless something changes, I wouldn't be too. I don't know if you guys are would be wanting him at the club. I personally don't know if I'd want him at the club, just based upon what we would need. But that's just my opinion. You guys maybe some of you really would want him at the club, but at the moment, it doesn't look like there's actual talks for that player. Isn't it crazy that people are saying we are dreadful and embarrassing, but we win that game in hand? We are in 5th right now, Arsenal. It is crazy. Yeah, and again, that's why last week I was being a bit of a Debbie Downer, but I was just trying to be more realistic. So I wasn't trying to be too upset about the loss because, again, when the right teams lose and the right teams win, all of a sudden everything changes again, right? And right now the top 4 is a very close call. Arsenal losing. I wasn't sure what would happen. I was expecting maybe a tie because they've been in very good form. And honestly, if they earn top 4, it's well deserved. They've been in good form. They've been in better form they've been more consistent than us. And that's really been the theme of this season is inconsistency from us. If we were more consistent, then yeah, I would 100% be advocating for the fact that, we deserve top 4. But at the moment, the way that Arsenal is playing, the way that they've sort of moved their project along, if they get top 4, I'm not going to be, I'm going to be upset as a Tottenham fan, but as a football fan, I'm going to be like, yeah, they were more consistent and we need to do better. So we'll see what happens. We won this week. So, I'm sure most of you might assume that we might not do well next week the next game. But, you have to keep an open mind and hope for the best. We talked about that one. I don't know if you talked about this, but Reguilon's missed chances were notable. Yeah. And again, he's a left wing back. So I'm not expecting him to score all the time, but the chances that he's had, you would expect some of those to go in. He needs to do better in that sort of way, because honestly, I was telling this to James, I think a few podcasts ago, when it comes to Conte's system, his wing backs are probably one of the most important players in this team. They are defensive, but they are also goal scoring. They are players that are there to help the defenders or to stay back if they need to. And they are also players that run forward and score goals at the same time. So to me, I think that Reguilon needs to really, really up his game in that in the attack in terms of scoring, because overall his runs are great and I will never criticize this guy in terms of stamina. That guy, I feel like he just never gets tired. The guy runs for 90 minutes and it's the same amount of speed every time. So good on him, but goal scoring. I think Conte needs to get whoever's in charge, like just have some sessions with Kane and just have Reguilon just shoot with Kane and just learn how Kane shoots so that he can get better. Because yeah, I think 100%, a lot of times because of how fast Reguilon is, he finds himself in the box more often. And it's unfortunate that when I see him in there, I don't get that excited because I'm like, yeah, that might not go in. That probably won't go in, actually. So let's hope for the best in a few weeks. I think if someone somehow is able to has access to DM Reguilon, tell him to go and have some practice with Kane for shooting. Leo Ball, I don't think the Prem suits him. I personally think it does. He's doing very well, especially in that left wing back role. I actually think he's performing better in that position than when he was at left back. I think that's just because of how he doesn't have to be as defensive. I do think to a point that the Prem, because of how intense it is, him having to be an actual left back, he wouldn't be able to sort of have that work for him, unlike in La Liga or something like that, because yeah, last season he performed okay and then he did really poorly. But in this left wing back position, because he's more of a midfielder than a defender, he just shines better. But let's see here. What else we got? Ayanami, I think we need to be a bit more decisive with our shots and passes. We seem to just dribble around and pass it backwards. Yeah, and I don't mind seeing that, but someone needs to sort of take that chance and shoot, honestly, because I think a lot of times we cut back and we wait for all the players to come in, and it really ends up being a luck of the draw when we shoot. The only person so far that I've seen actually shoots with conviction, just like while they're running in, they don't cut in or anything, is Kane and Kulusevski. But actually, our man on the scene has just come in. Let's welcome him. James, how you feeling, buddy?
Come on, you Spurs. What a result. We didn't even play that well, but what a result.
Yeah, it was I was just talking about how it seems like the big thing with these wins, it's always that we could have done better, we could have scored more.
Oh,
And
definitely. Reguilon could have had two himself. But
yeah,
like
we were
I said
actually
on the podcast, he can't shoot. But at the end of the day, that's not really his job, is it? So but he does need to learn to shoot.
Yeah, I was saying that he should probably have some training sessions with Kane, learn how to shoot or something, because we mentioned this before that the wingbacks seem to be the most important players for Conte. They do so much work. They have a lot of pressure on them.
100%. I mean, I don't think Doherty had a good game. The last three games he's been decent, but he also, I think was he up against Solly March? He didn't do very well on that side. But I mean, Kulusevski again was our best forward player. And Son finally got taken off before Kulusevski, which was the right choice because Conte there's always a favouritism with Kane and Son, and finally Son gets taken off. Son was awful again. Like, you know how much I love Son. Son was awful again. I don't know what's going on with him. He still hasn't got the right boots on, still not running properly. I don't know if he's got a knock or something. But Kulusevski created the most for us, I'd say. I think Højbjerg gave it away a few too many times. Bentancur did well in the second half. Romero was just brilliant all game. I mean, why was Romero was running forward more than some of our forward players at times? It was amazing.
Yeah, I was saying that, but I was actually taking a different approach to this. I was saying more so that I think that it's good that he's, it's lucky of him to have scored today, but what the hell is he doing all the way up in the box?
He was doing it at 2-0. He was doing it at 2-0. He was going into midfield, and I'm like, Romero, you're meant to be like literally the furthest man back along with Dyer, and he kept coming forward. You notice that?
Yeah, and the Spurs relatables were actually saying, some were saying that Højbjerg covers for him, but some were also saying that that in order for us to do that, we need better defenders in general before we start allowing Romero to go up.
Yeah, tell me what happened at the end. I mean, obviously I was at the game. What happened? I was behind the goal. What happened at the end with Kane? I mean, it looked like he either got fouled or he dived. So. I was saying to my mate that's in the Brighton end, it was either a booking for Kane or he should have got a penalty. What happened?
Yeah, so he actually got kicked in the shin. And they I guess reviewed it and they were like, nah, it's not a penalty. But all the
But how
commentators were saying that that's a very bad call. It should have been a penalty.
the referee was awful all game. I mean, there should have been about 4 more yellows, 2 for each team. He kept like just and some of the officiating in the second half, it was so poor. Like there was a situation where it was like, actually this one was the first half where the ball went out of by the away end, and the referee didn't signal either way, either corner or goal kick. Neither did the linesman. They literally left it 10 seconds and then went corner. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's like no one had a clue. The linesman, the referee were awful. But I mean, I don't care because we've won 2-0. But if it was a closer game, the Brighton fans are probably fuming. I mean, George, are you fuming?
Just fed up.
Well, you got a few of these SpursRelatables agree with you, yeah?
I'm on the way back with a Brighton fan, and he's fuming. Obviously, 6 on the bounce for them. They've lost, and yeah, I mean, Brighton were poor. Like Spurs weren't very good, but luckily we're not playing a decent team today.
Yeah, well, Carl Simpson's here is also saying, Reggie needs to work on finishing in the Premier League. When you get the chance, you need to bury it 100%. Taking risks is not a bad thing. That is proven by Romero's deflection. So you see, we have some interesting opinions here, because we have some people saying that they like Romero coming up, and some people saying that we shouldn't be doing that right now.
It depends on the game. I mean, it probably worked today because, like, with all due respect, Brighton didn't really threaten us too many times. I mean, they actually got forward a lot of times, but they didn't really shoot enough. And that seems to be the same old story of Brighton. They get it into the box and then dilly-dally a bit. But also, I think if Romero comes forward like that against West Ham or against Arsenal, we will get in trouble. Like, we can't.
Yeah.
There was times when Brighton in the first half were 3v2 against us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on the counter attacks, they're a little bit quicker, a little bit more, clinical. Then they probably would have scored. But like I said, I don't want to see Romero running around like that. He's like the defensive Lamella. He's hot-headed, but he's absolutely brilliant. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I was actually saying that it's good that we had Dyer in there, because it could have even been a yellow when Romero was going all up in Cucurella's face.
Oh yeah, I thought he was going to get a second yellow. I was like, don't get involved in it, Romero. But he does remind me of Lamella.
Yeah, Adrian, we will get to our 3 best players and 3 worst players. Don't worry about that. And then Doherty, he says Doherty can't line up against Cucurella. He got exposed defensively. What did you think about that?
What was that question?
That Doherty got exposed defensively from Cucurella.
Yeah, I was Cucurella against Doherty, wasn't it? Yeah, Cucurella was the better player out of the 2. But again, Brighton missed Lamptey. Why did Lamptey not start the game? Has he got a knock?
No, he played like 95 minutes at the weekend.
He played 95 minutes. We were lucky Lamptey did play.
Dodgy hamstrings.
Yeah, well, I will say, did you say that your friend there's a Brighton fan?
Yeah, he just said he's got dodgy hamstrings and he played 95 minutes against whoever they played at the weekend. Who did you play? Liverpool. And he's not 100% fit because of his hamstrings, so that's why he didn't start the game. Okay.
Well, I will say that if you want your team to get better, you need to get rid of Maupay. You got to bring somebody else. That guy is trash. Just absolute trash.
We've already bought another striker. We've loaned him back out again.
They've already bought.
He's the top scorer in Europe, so let's hope
who
he does. Undav.
Is that the Polish guy?
No, he's German from Belgium.
German guy, German striker they bought. Apparently, he's top scorer in Europe. All
right. Well, either way, I think you guys need to get rid of Maupay more than anything, and give this new guy a chance, because he is not doing any favors for you. Any chances that are created and he's behind it, I have no fear whatsoever.
100%. Yeah, Maupay. The thing is, Maupay started the season really well, didn't he? He got really good goals in games, and now he's gone off the boil again. But
I think he's still the same number of goals as Kane. Or roughly.
Yeah, but no, Kane surely scored more than him. Apparently he's got the same amount of goals as Kane. I'm happy with that.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting stat, I guess.
Big up,
Ayanami here is actually saying that the refereeing in this league is very inconsistent, and I 100% agree. I think I saw once. Is it true that the last World Cup there wasn't a single Premier League referee in it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can see why, because they don't know where they are half the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were MLS referees at the World Cup, so that says everything.
That's horrendous.
We were meant to have one, but he pulled out. But that was the only one.
If there's one thing that when I watch the MLS that I do see is most of the time consistency. I like the referees in the Premier League live the Tottenham way. They're just inconsistent.
Yeah.
Adrian Holmes could say it's my feelings was that he was tired, just wanted to finish the game. I think that was in reference to Kane. I feel like Kane was reaching though. He was looking for those fouls a lot, and I think the ref just wasn't having it.
Yeah.
And again, what is with these refs? They always look upset when we're winning.
They always what?
They always look upset when we're winning.
Yeah, I don't really, honestly, Andre, I really don't mind. Like I said, I would be so annoyed at the refereeing if we lost, but at the end of the day, it was poor refereeing, but we won 2-0. So, that's perfect result, to be honest with you. 2-0, clean sheet, go on to the next game against West Ham. No injuries, I don't think. Happy days.
Well, look, Miles Houston here saying Arsenal lost 2-0. So
good.
That's good news. Finally.
Yeah, good. Liverpool are obviously, I think Liverpool are going to win the league now. I think they are, but anyway, let's stick on Spurs, and obviously.
Yeah, another thing though, for the upcoming game, for the West Ham game, we could actually be facing a West Ham game that doesn't have Kurt Zuma in it, at least playing. I don't know if you saw that they've actually started a case against him because of the cat incident.
Yeah. Apparently he's going to get taken to court and everything. So at the end of the day, if they have Kurt Zuma or they don't, I still think we should be beating West Ham at home.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because I'm pretty sure most of the Spurs relatables here actually started the video saying, "Well, that was a good win. Let's look out for that loss next week."
Well, yeah, Well, the thing is, it's literally no joke. The last 7 games have been win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win.
Yeah.
So you could write a book about what's going to happen next, but then again, we got to break that. We got to break that duck at some point. Just like, with all due respect, without trying to wind George up next to me, Brighton have got to win at some point. They're not going to keep losing.
Yeah.
So,
well, what's that streak for Brighton now? Six losses in a row.
6 in a row. Yeah.
We're playing Norwich next. So
Norwich next. Imagine you don't win that.
Oh my!
We're actually just going past the stadium now because we got a park and ride, so we're just going past it again now. So I'll try and get the footage of the stadium as we go past. A little live footage of the 2-0 Amex win. But who was your favourite players? Well, I say favourite players. Who do you think played best for Spurs? I think Kulusevski.
Actually, you know what? That's a good way to lead into our top 3, bottom 3 that we always talk about.
Yeah.
But right before we say that, Miles Houston here saying Bowen is out too. Correct? Do you know if he's out?
Bowen is out. Yeah, George said Bowen's out. Yeah.
Okay, so Bowen's out. West Ham level is Conference League level. Well, we got knocked out of the Conference League, so that says everything. Bobby K, no way, Andre. Time to break this week. We must win Sunday. Andre, join us at the pub. Okay, well, you know what? That might work. I think Sunday will work. My colleges might go on strike, so I'm literally gonna have nothing to do. So I'll definitely.
There you go, guys. I don't know if you can see this. Hang on. Can you see it?
Kind of. I can mainly actually just see our podcast through your screen.
Oh wow! Hang on. There you go.
You'd have to lower the window
see that
there.
Through there?
Not really.
What? Let me try again. There you go. It's quite a lot of hedges.
Okay, I can see a little bit there. Yeah, I see it. How was the atmosphere at the Amex Stadium actually? Before we get into our top 3, bottom 3.
The atmosphere at the atmosphere at Old Trafford was better in the away end on Saturday, but the atmosphere was obviously still good in the away end. But in terms of the Brighton.
Terrible.
The Brighton fans never get going. I can't lie. I'm not even going to just say this to my mate. I used to go to Brighton quite a lot, and they just don't get going in that stadium. Unless it's a massive game like Palace or like a really important game, it just doesn't get going unless they're winning. And I think that's a fair
It used to be better. This season's been horrendous because we've won 3 games at home all season, so everyone's just fed up.
I think it's a bit down in the dumps at Brighton. Only 3 wins.
Yeah, well, I really do think it's because you're lacking leadership players in there. To be honest, having a player who will.
Lewis Dunk's normally their leader, but I do think they've actually lost Ben White, which has affected them as well. Would you agree? And Dan Burn as well, who went to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Andre,
let's do the top 3, bottom 3. So, top
'cause I
three
ran into a bit of a
teams.
bad signal.
Yeah, James, you first. What would you say are your
Right.
top 3 players today?
Top 3 for Spurs has got to be, I'd say, Reguilon. Although he missed those chances, he was really positive down the left.
Okay.
I'd also go Kulusevski. Was really good, best out of the front 3. And then I'd probably put, I guess Kane's finish sealed the deal, didn't it? So, but I don't think Kane was, again, on his top form. But I'd go between Kane and Bentancur for the third one.
Okay, well, you got to pick one, so.
All right, let's go Kane for the goal.
All right, Kane, good, yeah, and you know what? It would make sense. You got to put Kane in there after breaking that new record today.
Away record, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, away record, 95 goals, beating Rooney now.
Yeah, he beat Rooney in 108 less appearances or something like that.
Oh. Well, good. I guess now we just have to hope that Kane can have some trophies with him rather than just have all these personal record-breaking things. He'll break. I think if he ends his career breaking all these records and no trophies, I think he'll actually break a new record, which is most amount of records broken with no trophies.
Don't say that on Jay. That's very negative. But
he's going to win the World Cup.
Yeah, he's going to win the World Cup with England this year, mate.
Okay, well, hopefully.
But listen, A&R Army's just put in the chat top Bentancur, Kulusevski, and he's gone Højbjerg. So he's basically gone with mine. But Højbjerg lost the ball too many times for me. I mean, he was a bit sloppy. He did break the ball down well, but I mean, I don't know why Basuma came off for them. I mean, he's Brighton's best player. Didn't understand that move, but then again, Graham Potter is obviously like one of the best managers in the world according to their fans. So yeah, he must have been the right decision.
I mean, it's really hard to shine when you have the squad you do, to be honest. I do think Brighton has some really bright players in their squad, but some of them did get taken at the beginning of the season, which is very unfortunate for you guys.
And he said Doherty, Reguilon, and Son. I thought Reguilon was all right. Apart from his finishing, Reguilon was decent.
Yeah.
So,
let's see. My top 3, I'm actually going to go with Kane, Bentancur, and honestly, I'm going to say Dyer. He really controlled that defense today in terms of keeping his defenders just together. The way he was telling.
He didn't keep them together because Romero went walkabouts for half the game.
Yeah, but for example, when he was about to get another yellow for getting up in Cucurella's face, Dyer just came in there, right? He had that bandage over his head. He looked like he went beast mode. So I was talking about this earlier. I think Dyer really turned it around. If there were any doubts.
Yeah.
But those were my top 3. I would say Reguilon, he would go into the top 3 if it wasn't for the fact that he misses the chances he does.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, they're not like crazy long distance chances. They're actually, he's close up, and a lot of the Spurs relatable hearers were actually saying that he needs to really fix that for the Premier League. My bottom 3, I'd have to say, you know what? Look, this is going to be a hot take here. I know Romero scored, okay? I know he scored, but he's got. He pushes up way too much, and he's making too many mistakes. And I said last week how when it comes to good players, they have a standard that's up here. So I'm going to judge them from this standard, not this standard down here. So for the standard that I usually am judging him for, I do think that it's getting worrisome to see that every game he's having a really, really risky tackle where he swipes the player down.
No, yeah, but I like that. I like that passion. I know it's going to catch up with him and he's going to get a red card. But also at the same time, you need someone with a bit of grit in that back 5. You need someone that's going to put in a heavy challenge and put the tempo of the game up and get the atmosphere going. And that's what he does. Like the fans love the fact he loves the crunching tackle. That's what we're used to in the likes of Wanyama and Dembele when we had them. We don't have that anymore at the back. Even Jan Vertonghen used to put in a crunching tackle. Now we have Dyer, who doesn't do many, and Ben Davies, gentle Ben Davies, who he's probably like walking his dog on the way home, like he's so soft.
Do you want to use your quote for him?
Ben Davies, paper over the cracks as always.
Yeah.
Paper over the cracks in a team that needs players, and he's just like the paper mache over the hole in your wall that you punched in. That's Ben Davies in a player.
Yeah,
It's just a temporary job. It's a temporary fix.
Yep. Neil Williams here's actually saying it's hard to say, but Sonny needs a rest. I think he's done nothing the last few games.
Correct.
I hate saying that because he's Sonny. Yeah, and that leads into my second bottom player, which is actually Son.
Yeah, it has to be. Son was awful. Again.
Yeah, and
he has to get dropped. He has to get dropped. Sorry.
Well, actually, I was talking about how Conte said that he would be crazy to drop him because it's Son. I think that you shouldn't drop him, but I do think that when the game is going, I think he did a good thing today by taking him off. But just he's so good, he's so fast and pacey and dangerous that even when he's not doing well, his presence alone is enough to help the team.
Yeah, but it usually is, Andre. But honestly, he's looked like he can't run at the moment. He doesn't run at full pace like he normally does. He doesn't really run and push and press towards the ball. He doesn't provide anything at the moment. And if you've got a player like that, you have to bench him for one game to see what his reaction will be. I mean, look at Ronaldo. They bench Ronaldo. Everyone said it was an injury. It wasn't. They dropped Ronaldo, and then they brought him back in, and he scored a hat trick. I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah. Who would you start then? I think I'm agreeing with you here.
I mean, Lucas didn't look great when he came on, but then again, it was 2-0, so we didn't really need to attack. I'd start Bergwijn or Lucas next game and see what happens. Bring Son on the 60th minute if Lucas or Bergwijn don't make an impact. But Kulusevski has to start. He's our best forward at the moment. Like, he really is.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'll agree with you there. You know what? Spurs relatables. James has convinced me. I think next game Son should be on the bench, and I guess give another player a chance. Not because I would think that the other players need the chance, but because I want to see what Son does. I want to see his reaction to getting benched.
Definitely, yeah.
The best players see that happen. They take that and then they perform and they show why they should be playing. So I hope
Højbjerg got dropped for the first time in like 2 years, and then he came back next game and put in a worldly performance. That's sometimes what the players need. They need A, rest, and B, to just see what the other players do and go, well, I'm better than that, and come on and prove it. That's what they need to do. If they're not tested and they're comfortable every week starting a game and not putting in 100%, then they're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so definitely next game, I would bench Son at least for the first 50 minutes or so, and then see how he reacts when he comes in. And then my third bottom player. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Doherty was awful. Kept giving the ball away.
You know what? I'll have to say, I'm going to say Doherty. I think his, we've been shown what he can do, and it's not very much. It's more than what Emerson provides because that's his natural position. But yeah, man, we need to bring a new right wing back in the summer.
I mean, honestly, our options at right wing back is embarrassing. Like, seriously, Emerson isn't a right wing back, as we know. Yeah. And the guy, I was speaking to someone in the way, and he said Emerson is the worst player we bought in for 30 years, he thinks.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think he isn't the worst player we've brought in. He's just a player that we've brought in for clearly what was a different system, and now he is one of the players who just unfortunately does not fit our system at all.
He was bought in for Nuno Espirito Fraud Santos, that literally.
And you know what? I wouldn't even say Fraud Santos because Levy didn't allow Nuno to bring Nuno ball. He brought Nuno in to play Spurs system or whatever the hell that is. So he had to play with 4 at the back instead of just playing his 5 at the back anyways.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think that whole mess. My opinion is that I don't blame Nuno at all for this. I think he came in fighting an uphill battle because everyone was doubting him. And there's nothing worse than joining it's like going into a relationship after that person got rejected. You're 100% going to be the what's that called? What's that word when you go into a small relationship that you're just there just cause?
So you've lost your head on, Jade.
I can't remember what the name was. But either way, he was like option B, clearly, or option Z or whatever. And that definitely doesn't help at all.
What are you going on about?
I can't remember what it's called when you. Oh, a rebound. There we go. Rebound. That's what I meant to say. But looks like I've had James just leave there from the way that I forgot.
Rebound? What are you going on about?
I don't know. You left.
Oh, you mean right? Okay. You're talking about
right, a rebound. I meant like a rebound.
Relationship. You compared it to Tottenham.
Yeah, and I compared it how Nuno clearly was just a play, just was someone we just brought in because we needed someone.
Right.
We didn't really want him, and it really I feel bad for Nuno. He got so much slack for something that wasn't really his fault. He didn't get to play a system. He clearly went in knowing that Levy didn't really want him there. We had just been rejected by Conte, and the fans were all doubting him as well. So for me, I have no ill will against Nuno at all. It's not his fault. It's all Levy's fault when it comes to that. And now it's all Levy's fault that we have players who don't fit Conte's system either.
Well, yeah, huge rebuild coming in the summer, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, it really, all those talks about how they want to offer Kane a new contract, they want to make sure that Conte stays. The only way that happens is if in the summer we buy the players that Conte needs. And I'm worried because at the moment I have not seen a single piece of, we're linked to this guy. We were linked to one recently, to Pai, and that was immediately it wasn't true. We're not talking to Pai.
Why are we being linked with Memphis to Pai? We need a new centre back, we need a new right wing back, and we need another centre mid. Yeah,
I know. That's why I was also really confused as well. It's the least of our problems right now.
We don't need Depay. We need Rafael Guerrero from Dortmund or a decent right wing back, and then we also need a decent centre mid in like someone like Basuma, maybe Lamptey. Like what? We don't need Memphis Depay.
Yeah, and Neil Williams here saying the problem with us is we only have 11. That 11, and you can see that Conte doesn't trust anyone else. Exactly. The minute that one of those players is injured, we have no depth. The only positions I see that has depth, to be honest, is the left wing back position. Sessegnon and Reguilon just fighting for that position. I love the fact that we have two players that can sort of battle each other, rival each other, challenge each other for that position. We need that for every position. And I guess at the same time, you could say that when Skip comes back, you'll have a bit of midfield depth in there. James, would you say that Skip resembles Højbjerg more or Bentancur more?
Probably Højbjerg, just because he kind of breaks up the play and he's more defensive-minded. Skip doesn't really go forward, whereas I've seen Bentancur make a few forward runs, so I'd compare him more to Højbjerg, but because Skip doesn't really, although Skip's got more of the passing range as Bentancur, so kind of a hybrid if you like. But I'd say he's more like Højbjerg.
Okay, so I would say so that means in the summer, if we had to prioritize one type of midfielder, you would say bring in another Bentancur type defensive midfielder, eh?
Just bring in someone that can play football, not Harry Winks. I mean, I'm better than Harry Winks, and I haven't played football for 10 years. Like Harry Winks is honestly, he's pub team level.
Okay, well, you're right about that part, but I don't agree. I think we shouldn't just be going in to grab someone who can just play football. I think we need to be very careful.
Basuma would be brilliant for Spurs.
Do you think he would be a good defensive midfielder?
Yeah, yes. I think we're going to get Basuma. That's my March guess. Because why? If someone comes in for him, he's not going to want to stay at Brighton because, being honest, Brighton aren't going to win any. Well, we're not going to win anything anytime soon. I'm going to be honest about that as well. But also, he's probably going to want to try and be with a team that's got aspirations to challenge Europe. Whereas for Brighton, mid-table is a decent finish.
Yeah. I don't know. From what I've seen, he doesn't really look like a Bentancur player for me. He seems more of a mid, like just a midfield, just center mid.
But Basuma can get forward as well. Like I don't think he scored this season for Brighton, but he was scoring quite a few last season, wasn't he?
But we need players in the midfield who can play. We need, like, for example, Bentancur. He's also a player, even though he's more creative than Højbjerg. He can also play, sort of be there to cover for Romero if he comes up. Do you think Basuma could do that?
Basuma's got the highest number of tackles in the Premier League this season.
There you go. George just said Basuma's got the highest number of tackles in the Premier League this season.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm sure whoever they bring in, it will have gone through Paratici and through Conte's approval. So
Yeah.
I'll be happy with that.
And not Steve Hitchens, because Steve Hitchens is a fraud.
Yeah, I do think that whatever we choose to bring in, I think when it comes to midfielders, if Skip is more of a Højbjerg, then we need to bring another player who's more like Bentancur, because unfortunately, if we put Højbjerg and Skip together, it's not going to be as effective as Højbjerg and Bentancur, because Bentancur is more creative to begin with. That's kind of what we need. That allows Højbjerg to be more defensive and play the best things that he can do, which is that defense, the wall. So I guess, yeah. So I would say that would be the case for me. And then at the same time, right wing back, and I guess the center back. But I don't know what happened to James there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. And then lastly, before we go, one more thing to discuss here. For West Ham, what do you feel are the things that Tottenham need to sort of improve on?
Well, let's be honest, Brighton actually did get forward quite a lot into our box. They just didn't shoot, because they got that dried up dinosaur in Danny Welbeck, who did nothing other than foul Kane. So, yeah, I mean, going back to the West Ham thing, I think we need to just be better defensively, because actually, although we got a clean sheet, Brighton actually wasted chances, whereas West Ham probably won't.
Yeah.
So we need to be more tight at the back. We need to stop giving the ball away really stupidly in midfield. Like, there was a few passes from Højbjerg and Bentancur and even Doherty that was just awful. Like, such basic passing. And also, the thing that's pissing all the fans off in the away end was this sideways, backwards. And the part of the problem with that is Son's not making direct runs. Kulusevski's not the quickest player, and neither's Kane. So it's like, if we're going to be direct against West Ham, I think we need to have a player that's going to run in behind. And at the moment, Son's not doing that. Kulusevski's not quick enough, and Kane doesn't really run behind. He's most of the time in midfield. So for me, I would honestly start Bergwijn against West Ham.
Okay. You know what? And I agree with that. I think that'd be a very good game plan, just to see Son's reaction. Hopefully that'll spark something in him to break back the old Son, because it has been very difficult seeing Son struggle like this, and we need a pacey player in there. Kulu is not pacey, so he does a lot of midfield work. And Kane obviously is able to stay up a little more, but he can only run so much. It's Kane.
Yeah. Yep, sure.
Cool. But anyways, good discussion, and I'm sure you had a great time, James.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
3 games in a row now. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been to the last 3 games. West Ham, I'm not going to, so I will be on the match review on Sunday with you. And what's the date today? I've forgotten. Wednesday. So I'm sure we'll do a couple of videos before for the preview of the West Ham game, and big up all the people in the chat that have left your comments in. Really appreciate it. And well done, Andre, on the hosting. You're becoming a natural now, mate.
Yeah, well, one video at a time, I guess. But glad you had a good time there, and all the Spurs relatable people, thank you for coming in, discussing. It's always a great time, whether we win or lose. We have to stick together and be resilient, and hope that Tottenham just keeps supporting Tottenham, and just believing in that Conte project, which hopefully Levy is believing in it too. But anyways,
cool.
Drop a like if you can, subscribe, leave a comment, leave your predictions possibly, but we will have a match preview for the West Ham game coming up. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs! Give me a ginger from Sweden. Number 21, his name is Kulusevski.